There are stories that whisper between the lines. Stories that gently take us by the hand and lead us into a world where kindness is the greatest form of courage, where every pirouette carries the weight of an unspoken emotion, and where fairy tales become mirrors reflecting the deepest corners of the human heart. The story of Princess Tutu is wrapped in the elegance of classic ballet, in love, identity, sacrifice, and in the quiet strength it takes to remain gentle in a world that often mistakes compassion for weakness. Beneath its graceful feathers and enchanted dances lies one of the most profound and unforgettable heroines anime has ever given us. Ahiru's story begins in a quiet little pond. She is exactly what her name means, a duck. Ahiru watches as the prince dances beside the water with sadness in his eyes. She longs to dance with the prince but is painfully reminded that she is just merely a duck. How can she speak to him? How can she hold his hand and ease his sorrow? All she can do is watch from afar, wishing that she could help him smile again. It is this selfless impulse that catches the attention of the mysterious storyteller Drosselmeyer. Recognizing the extraordinary kindness hidden within such an ordinary soul, he grants her a miraculous gift, a red pendant that gives her the ability to transform into a human girl. When we first meet Ahiru in her human form, she is cheerful but clumsy, endlessly energetic yet hopelessly uncoordinated, forever rushing through the halls of gold-crowned academy with an earnest determination that usually ends in another embarrassing stumble. Surrounded by students who seem to possess effortless elegance and talent, Ahiru stands out precisely because she doesn't fit in. She is awkward, emotional, impulsive, and wears her heart so openly that every joy and every disappointment is written plainly across her face. She attends the academy with Mytho, the same very prince she fell in love with as a duck. She takes ballet lessons and wishes to one day share a dance with him. One afternoon, Ahiru witnessed Mytho trying to save an injured bird, which led him to fall down from his bedroom window. As she rushes to save him, Drosselmeyer the ghost writer appears and asks if she would save the prince and continue the story. With passion fueled by love, Ahiru agrees, which activates the power of the pendant given to her by Drosselmeyer. Then in a fury of light and feathers, she transforms into the breathtaking, elegant, and ethereal prima ballerina, Princess Tutu. When Ahiru transforms into Princess Tutu, she becomes the very image of a fairy tale brought to life. Clad in a delicate white ballet tutu adorned with soft pink and golden accents, she radiates a gentle elegance that feels almost ethereal. Her strawberry blonde auburn hair is crowned with a graceful tiara, while ribbons and feathers complete an appearance reminiscent of a swan gliding effortlessly across a moonlit lake. Every detail of her design evokes purity, hope, and compassion. Unlike many heroines who wear armor or elaborate battle attire, Princess Tutu dresses as a ballerina, immediately revealing that her greatest strength will never be violence, but beauty expressed through movement. There is a striking symbolism in her appearance. White in performance has long been associated with innocence, sincerity, and new beginnings, and Princess Tutu embodies all three. She enters each scene like a light piercing through darkness, not to overwhelm it, but to gently illuminate it. Even the softness of her costume reflects her character. Nothing about her appearance is intimidating or domineering. Instead, she invites others to lower their defenses, creating an atmosphere where healing becomes possible. The most remarkable aspect of Princess Tutu's design is that it transforms ballet itself into a form of heroism. In most fantasy stories, a hero's costume prepares them for combat. Princess Tutu's attire prepares her for a performance. This subtle difference completely changes our expectations. Rather than stepping into a battlefield, she steps onto a stage. Rather than wielding a weapon, she tells stories through dance. The elegance of ballet becomes the language through which she reaches wounded hearts. From the moment Ahiru becomes Princess Tutu, She is entrusted with a mission unlike anything found in a traditional magical girl story. She is not asked to defeat monsters, conquer evil, or become stronger than her enemies. Instead, her purpose is far gentler, yet infinitely more difficult: to mend a heart that has been broken. Throughout the series, Princess Tutu searches for the scattered fragments of Mytho's heart, each one representing an emotion that has been lost. Whenever one of these fragments is found, Ahiru does not reclaim it through violence or force. She reaches it through empathy. With every graceful dance, she speaks to the wounded hearts in a language beyond words, encouraging each lost emotion to return to where it belongs. This mission is deeply symbolic. It suggests that a complete heart is not made only of joy or love, but of the entire spectrum of human emotion. Sorrow, fear, anger, hope, compassion, loneliness, and happiness all have their place within us. To lose even one of these emotions is to lose a piece of what makes us human. Princess Tutu reminds us that healing does not mean erasing painful feelings. True healing is allowing ourselves to become whole again. What makes Ahiru so remarkable is that she approaches every encounter with genuine compassion. She never sees the heart shards as objects to collect or obstacles to overcome. She understands that each fragment carries its own story, its own pain, and its own longing. Rather than forcing each upon others, she gently invites them to remember who they truly are. Her greatest gift is not magical power, but emotional understanding. In many ways, Ahiru's mission reflects the role that kindness plays in our own lives. We cannot solve every problem or erase another person's suffering, but we can listen. We can offer comfort. We can stand beside someone in their darkest moments until they find strength to heal. Like Princess Tutu's dances, these acts may seem small, yet they possess the quiet power to restore what pain has stolen. Perhaps this is why Ahiru's journey feels so timeless. Her mission is not simply to restore one person's heart. It is a celebration of empathy itself. It reminds us that the deepest wounds are rarely healed through strength alone. They are healed through patience, compassion, and the courage to reach out to someone who has forgotten how to feel. In a world that often glorifies power, Princess Tutu proposes something far more beautiful: that the greatest heroes are those who help others become whole again. The source of Princess Tutu's magic is the pendant bestowed upon her by Drosselmeyer. Through this enchanted gift, Ahiru is able to take on the form of an ordinary human girl, allowing her to live among the students of Gold Crown Academy. Yet this transformation is fragile rather than permanent. She should lose the pendant, become separated from it, or allow her true duck nature to reveal itself too openly, the spell is broken and she immediately returns to her original form. This constant possibility of losing her humanity serves as a reminder that Ahiru lives between two worlds, never fully belonging to either. The same pendant also grants Ahiru the ability to transform into Princess Tutu, the graceful ballerina whose elegance seems worlds apart from Ahiru's usual clumsiness. However, this transformation does not make her invincible. Beneath the beautiful costume and magical appearance remains the same compassionate girl, with all of her fears, doubts, and emotional vulnerability intact. Another remarkable gift bestowed by the pendant is Ahiru's unique sensitivity to the scattered fragments of Mytho's heart. She is able to sense these lost emotions and instinctively recognize where they have taken root. This ability is more than a magical power. It symbolizes Ahiru's extraordinary empathy. She is drawn toward emotional wounds, not because she seeks adventure, but because her heart naturally responds to the pain of others. Themes and characters in this story are inspired by Swan Lake, the Nutcracker, and the Ugly Duckling. In the 1876 ballet Swan Lake tells the tragic tale of Princess Odette, who was cursed by the evil sorcerer to live as a swan by day, only turning human by night by the edge of the magic lake. The only way to break the curse is a vow of eternal love and marriage. The prince falls deeply in love with her and promises to swear an oath of sacred fidelity which will break the spell forever. However, the black swan Odile deceives the prince and tricks him into marrying her instead. In the story of Princess Tutu, we have Ahiru as Odette, Mytho as the prince, and Ru as Odile. As Ahiru spends more time with Mytho, what begins as concern gradually blossoms into something deeper. She comes to cherish his gentle nature, his quiet vulnerability, and the person he slowly becomes throughout the story. Yet unlike the fairy tales that promise love will always find its happy ending, Princess Tutu asks a far more painful question. What if love could never be confessed? Hidden within Ahiru's existence is a cruel and inescapable curse. She's not an ordinary magical girl, but a duck who has been transformed into a human. The miracle that allows her to walk, dance, and become Princess Tutu also comes with a devastating condition. If she ever confesses her love to the prince, she will instantly disappear, fading away into nothing more than a tiny speck of light. It is a curse woven into the very fabric of her existence. Unlike many fictional obstacles that can be overcome through determination or strength, this is a law that cannot simply be broken. It forces Ahiru into one of the most heartbreaking forms of love imaginable, a love that must remain forever silent. And yet, she chooses to love anyway. Every smile she offers to Mytho, every sacrifice she makes for him, every dance she performs is filled with emotions she can never put into words. While others are free to express their hearts openly, Ahiru must carry hers in silence, knowing that the very act of saying "I love you" could erase her from the world. There is something profoundly human about this tragedy, not because most of us are bound by magical curses, but because many people know what it feels like to carry emotions they cannot express. Some remain silent out of fear of rejection. Others believe the timing is wrong, or worry that speaking honestly will destroy the relationship they treasure. We hide our feelings behind smiles, convincing ourselves that loving quietly is safer than risking everything. Ahiru's curse transforms this universal fear into literal reality. The emotional risk of vulnerability becomes physical annihilation. Her silence is no longer a choice. It is the price of her existence. Yet what makes Ahiru extraordinary is that she never allows this curse to poison her love. She does not become resentful. She does not demand that Mytho return her feelings as payment for everything she has sacrificed. She never treats love as something she owed. Instead, she continues wishing for his happiness even when it comes at the expense of her own. This is what separates love from possession. Possession asks, "Will you choose me?" Love asks, "May you find happiness even if I cannot stand beside you." It is one of the most purest expressions of selfless love. Ahiru never stops caring simply because she cannot receive what she longs for. Her affection is not sustained by the promise of reward, but by the quiet joy of seeing someone she treasures smile once more. There is also a beautiful irony hidden within this curse. Fairy tales often declare that true love should be confessed, that happy endings begin with the courage to speak one's heart. Ahiru's story turns this convention upside down. She proves that love is not measured by the words we say, but by the choices we make. Every act of kindness, every sacrifice, every moment she places another person's well-being above her own becomes a silent confession more powerful than language itself. Ahiru teaches us that the deepest love is not always the loudest. Sometimes, the greatest love stories are written in the words that were never spoken, in the feelings carried quietly within the heart, and in the countless acts of compassion that ask for nothing in return. The revelation of Mytho's very last heart shard is perhaps the cruelest twist in Drosselmeyer's script. Ahiru discovers a devastating truth. The pendant is not just a magical trinket. It is actually the piece of Mytho's heart that holds the power of hope. This creates an agonizing paradox for Ahiru. To fully restore Mytho's heart and save him, she must return the shard. But returning the shard means to strip away her humanity and her identity as Princess Tutu. However, when Tutu attempts to remove the pendant, she finds she cannot take it off. This is because deep down in her heart, she doesn't want the story to end. Filled with grief and shame, she falls in the lake of despair, believing that sacrificing her life is the only way to return the heart shard. Fakir saves her in the nick of time and says that he too doesn't want the story to end, to embrace who she truly is, and that he will stay by her side even if she returns to her original form. Having Fakir by her side is truly important. It reminds us that at the end of the day, no matter who we are or how strong we might be, it's okay to feel scared, to ask for help, and be reminded that we are enough just the way we are. With Fakir's words engraved in her heart, Ahiru was able to return the final shard to Mytho. She then loses the magic that once allowed her to become a human girl and transform into Princess Tutu. The elegant ballerina who danced across the stage has vanished, leaving behind only the small duck she had always been. Everything that once seemed extraordinary has been stripped away. She has no magical powers, no graceful costume, no enchanting presence. She is, by every onward measure, powerless. Yet when the world itself teeters on the edge of tragedy, Ahiru makes the same choice she has always made. She chooses to help. Empowered by Fakir's words, Ahiru steps forward and begins to dance, determined to free the people of the town from the raven's influence. Yet as darkness threatens to consume everything and the story appears destined to end in despair, the tiny duck steps onto the stage one last time. She cannot speak, she cannot transform, she cannot perform the elegant ballet that once moved the hearts of others. All she can do is dance as herself. Her movements are awkward and imperfect. She flaps her tiny wings, stumbles, and presses forward despite her exhaustion. And somehow, this humble dance becomes the most powerful performance of the entire series. For the first time, Ahiru is not relying on magic. She is relying solely on the strength of her own heart. Every movement is an act of hope, a silent plea for those whose hearts have been consumed by despair to remember themselves once more. Desperate to stop her, the raven turns the townspeople under his control against Ahiru. They overwhelm her, tossing her aside until her small body lies motionless upon the stage. For a brief moment, it seems as though she has nothing left to give. But Ahiru has never measured her strength by what remained. She rises once more. Bruised, exhausted, and stripped away of nearly everything, she begins to dance again. As Fakir continues to write, his words become a testament to the faith he now places in Ahiru. Their hope intertwine, and a radiant light begins to shine from within her. For one final breathtaking moment, Ahiru is enveloped in a brilliant glow as the image of Princess Tutu returns, illuminating the darkness that has engulfed the town. The light spreads onward, reaching every corner and rekindling the hope that had nearly been extinguished. Inspired by her light of hope and unwavering spirit, Mytho finds the courage to press forward. Calling Rue back from the raven's grasp, the two stand together at last, united against the darkness. With their combined resolve, they deliver the decisive blow that brings the raven's reign to an end. As peace finally returns, Ahiru watches the victory she made possible. Then, having poured every last ounce of herself into the final dance, she quietly collapses. It is a profoundly moving moment because Ahiru never triumphs over strength alone. She triumphs over perseverance. Even after she is knocked down, even after every reason to surrender, she chooses to stand, to dance, and to hope one final time. In doing so, she becomes the light that allows everyone else to find their own. It is a remarkable reversal of expectations. Throughout the series, Ahiru believed that becoming Princess Tutu was what allowed her to change the world. In the end, it is simply Ahiru, the little duck, who performs the greatest miracle. But as with all fairy tales written by Princess Tutu, victory comes hand in hand with sacrifice. Mytho's heart is finally restored, and he is free to walk toward the future that awaits him. Yet that future is not one Ahiru can share. Remaining in her true form, she can only watch from aside as Mytho declares his love for Rue and departs alongside her. There is no tearful confession, no miraculous transformation, no one last-minute reward for everything she has endured. The one she loved is beyond her reach, and she cannot follow him. It is a heartbreaking farewell, not because her love was meaningless, but because it was never dependent on being returned. Ahiru did not save Mytho in the hope that he would choose her. She saved him because she could not bear to see him suffer. Even after losing everything, she asks for nothing, and somehow that makes her love all the more beautiful. Yet the story of Princess Tutu refuses to end in despair alone. In one final act of quiet tenderness, Fakir chooses to remain by Ahiru's side. He promises to continue writing stories for her, not as a storyteller who seeks to control fate, but as a friend who wishes to share the beauty of stories with the one who inspired him to believe that endings can change. It is a gentle reminder that while some dreams must be let go, love can still take new forms. As Ahiru swims peacefully across the water, she is no longer chasing an impossible destiny or trying to become someone else. The story that once sought to define her has finally lost its hold. She exists not as a princess, not as a heroine, but simply as herself. There is a quiet liberation in that image. The little duck who once believed she needed magic to matter has discovered that her greatest miracle was never the ability to become Princess Tutu. It was the kindness that remained even after the magic was gone. And perhaps that is the final lesson of her story. Fairy tales often tell us that happiness comes from becoming something greater than we are. Ahiru's journey suggests the opposite. True freedom begins the moment we realize that our worth was never dependent on crowns, miracles, or destiny. It was always carried within our hearts. In the end, Ahiru leaves us with a truth that lingers long after the final curtain falls. She reminds us that a meaningful life is not measured by how extraordinary we appear, how loudly our names are remembered, or whether our love is returned. It is measured by the kindness we offer, the hope we inspire, and the courage to keep giving even when no one is watching. Though she begins her journey believing she is only a small duck in a story far greater than herself, she ultimately becomes the very heart that keeps the story alive. Long after the magic fades, it is not Princess Tutu's graceful dances that remain etched in our memories, but Ahiru's gentle spirit, her unwavering compassion, her quiet resilience, and her boundless capacity to love without asking for anything in return. In a world that constantly tells us we must become more to be worthy, Ahiru softly reminds us that perhaps we were enough from the very beginning. And that is why, even after the music ends and the stage grows silent, her story continues to dance within our hearts forever.